Have you ever sat in a job interview and felt your mind go completely blank when the interviewer spoke? You heard the words, but they didn't make sense fast enough. You knew the answer in your own language, but in English, everything felt too fast, too difficult, too much. You're not alone. Many English learners struggle with listening during job interviews. Not because they're not smart, but because they're not used to real spoken English, especially when it comes from someone new, in a formal situation, with pressure. In this video, you're going to learn how to improve your listening skills specifically for job interviews. We'll talk about why job interview listening is different from normal conversations, what kinds of questions to expect, how to prepare your ears and your brain for interview situations, and how to stay calm even when you don't catch every word. But first, let's talk about why job interviews are so hard when you're learning English. A job interview is more than just a conversation. It's a test. It's a performance. You feel like you have to say everything perfectly. You're trying to listen, think, translate, and speak, all at the same time. That's a lot. And when your brain is under pressure, your listening suffers. You might hear the words, but not understand their meaning fast enough. You might recognize the vocabulary, but your brain needs time to connect the dots. That's why listening practice, real listening practice, is so important. You don't need more grammar rules. You need more real-world practice. Let me tell you about my first job interview in English. I had practiced answers for days. I had written everything down. I even memorized some common interview questions. But when the interview started, the interviewer spoke fast. They didn't ask the questions I had practiced. And suddenly, I panicked. I missed a few words. And then, I missed the whole question. I smiled, nodded, and asked them to repeat, trying to stay calm. The second time, I listened carefully. I didn't understand every single word, but I understood the meaning. And I answered. Not perfectly, but honestly, and they appreciated that. You don't have to be perfect to succeed. You just have to stay present, stay calm, and keep listening. So here's what we're going to do. In the next parts of this lesson, we'll walk through most used interview questions, real listening examples, phrases to use when you don't understand, how to prepare your ears for fast English, and ways to respond with confidence even when you feel nervous. This is real-life English. No textbooks, no tests. Just practical listening skills you can use starting today. Are you ready? Let's begin. Let's dive into one of the most common interview moments. The question, tell me about yourself. Now at first, this might seem simple. You might think, oh, I just need to say my name and where I'm from. But in a job interview, this question is much deeper. What they really want to know is, who are you professionally? What experience do you bring? And how do you fit this job? Before we talk about how to answer this well, let's talk about how it might sound. Because here's the tricky part. Interviewers often say this question in different ways. You might hear, so, tell me a little about yourself. Can you walk me through your background? Give me a short introduction. Tell me who you are professionally speaking. They all mean the same thing, but if you're not prepared, these small changes can feel confusing. That's why listening practice is so important. Let's practice now. I'm going to say a few variations of this question. You just listen and ask yourself, do I understand what they're asking? Tell me about yourself. Walk me through your resume. Why are you here today? What should I know about you? Did you catch the meaning? Even though the words changed, they all want you to introduce yourself clearly and professionally. Now, What should you do if you don't understand the question during the interview? Here are 3 polite and confident options you can say. I'm sorry, could you repeat that question, please? Would you mind saying that again a little slower? Just to be sure, are you asking about my past experience? These phrases show that you're calm, respectful, and engaged. You don't need to pretend you understand everything. It's better to ask than to guess. And remember, you can practice this at home. Watch real job interviews on YouTube. Listen to the way questions are asked. Pause, repeat, and answer them out loud. The more you train your ear, the more confident you'll feel when it's your turn. Listening is a skill. And just like speaking, it gets better with practice. Keep going. You're doing great. Have you ever heard the question? Tell me about a time when you faced a challenge at work. This is called a behavioral interview question, and it's very common in English-speaking job interviews. These questions are tricky because they test both your listening and speaking skills at the same time. Let's break it down together. First, you need to listen carefully to the question. Many candidates make the mistake of rushing to answer before they fully understand what's being asked. Slow down, take a breath, and listen for key words like describe a time, give an example of, how did you handle? These are all signs that the interviewer wants a real story from your past. And here's the good news. You can prepare for this in advance. Let's talk about how. There's a great method called the STAR technique. It stands for S, situation, T, task, A, action, R, result. This technique helps you tell your story in a clear, organized way. Let's go through an example together. Imagine you're applying for a customer service job, and the interviewer asks, tell me about a time you dealt with a difficult customer. Here's how you could answer using the STAR method. Situation. Last year, I was working at a retail store during the holiday season. It was very busy, and we had a long line of customers. Task. One customer became angry because the product they wanted was out of stock. My job was to calm the situation and find a solution. Action. I listened carefully, apologized sincerely, and offered to check other branches for the item. I also suggested a similar product that was available. Result. The customer appreciated my help and left the store satisfied. Later, my manager praised me for staying calm and professional. That's it. Clear, simple, powerful. And it shows that you can listen well, understand the problem, and take thoughtful action. Let's practice. I'll say a question. Then you pause and think about how you'd answer it using STAR. Ready? Here's the question. Tell me about a time you worked as part of a team. Now pause the video. Take a moment to think. Try to remember a real moment from your life, from school, work, or even a volunteer project. Now, try answering out loud using what happened, situation, what your role was, task, what you did, action, what happened in the end, result. Even if you make mistakes, don't worry. This is practice, and practice makes progress. Why is this so important? Because when you train yourself to listen actively to questions and respond with structure, you show confidence. You show employers that you can communicate clearly, even under pressure. That's a skill worth gold. And here's something else to remember. You don't need perfect English. You need honest answers, a calm voice, and a simple story. Interviewers care more about who you are than how many big words you know. So breathe, smile, and trust your preparation. In the next part, we'll explore how to handle unexpected questions and what to do when you don't understand the question at all. Yes, even native speakers get caught off guard sometimes. But don't worry, you'll learn how to handle these moments. with confidence and grace. Let's talk about one of the most stressful moments in any interview. When the interviewer asks a question and you have no idea what they just said. Maybe they spoke too fast. Maybe they used a word you've never heard. Maybe your brain just froze. It happens, even to fluent speakers. So what do? Step 1. Don't panic. Take a breath. Smile politely. You're allowed to ask for clarification. In fact, it shows confidence and professionalism. Try saying something like, "I'm sorry. Could you repeat the question more slowly? Would you mind rephrasing that? Could you please explain what you mean by?" These phrases are not a sign of weakness. They're a sign that you care about giving a clear and thoughtful answer. And guess what? Most interviewers appreciate that. Now let's practice listening actively, even when the question is difficult. Sometimes interviewers use long sentences with extra information, like this. Can you walk me through a situation where you had to adapt quickly to unexpected changes in your work environment? Wow, that's a lot of words. But don't worry, train your ear to listen for key parts. In that sentence, the important idea is adapt quickly to unexpected changes. That's what they really want to know. Everything else is just extra. So focus your answer on that idea. Here's how you can practice this skill at home. Watch short interview videos on YouTube or LinkedIn. Listen to each question carefully. Pause and write down what you understood. Then try to answer it out loud. This builds two powerful habits: careful listening, clear speaking. Do this every day, even for 5 minutes, and you'll start to feel more confident. Let's look at one more strategy: confirming the question before answering. Here's what that looks like. Interviewer: tell me about a project that didn't go as planned. You: so, you'd like to hear about a time when something went wrong and how I handled it, correct? This buys you time to think and make sure you fully understand what's being asked. It also shows maturity. Professionals do this all the time, even in their native language. So don't be afraid to repeat or confirm the question. It's not cheating. It's smart. And finally, what if you don't have a perfect example? What if the question is about a situation you've never experienced? You still have options. Try saying, "I haven't faced that exact situation, but here's how I would approach it. While I don't have direct experience, I've dealt with something similar." This shows creativity, flexibility, and honesty. And that's exactly what employers are looking for. In the next part, we'll shift our focus to tone of voice, emotion, and body language. 3 things that matter just as much as the words you use. Because in job interviews, how you say something is often more powerful than what you say. So stay with me. You're doing great. Let's continue. Let's talk about something people often forget: how you sound. Because in job interviews, your tone, your emotions, and even your body language communicate just as much, if not more, than your actual words. Let's break it down. Imagine this. You say, "I'm very excited about this position," but your voice is flat. You're looking down. No smile, no energy. Now picture this instead. You say the same sentence, but you smile. Your voice rises slightly. Your eyes light up. That one sentence? Now it feels real. Now it feels genuine. This is the power of tone and emotion. So how can you improve this? Practice reading common interview answers with feeling. Stand in front of a mirror. Say your answers out loud. Smile when you talk about exciting experiences. Slow down when you talk about challenges. Use your hands if it helps you feel more expressive. You're not acting. You're being authentic. And that authenticity makes employers trust you. Let's talk about pauses now. Many learners try to speak fast in interviews, thinking it will make them sound fluent. But rushing your words can make you harder to understand. It can make you sound nervous, or even unsure. Instead, pause between thoughts. Take a second to breathe. Like this. One challenge I faced in my last job was managing multiple deadlines at once. Pause. To solve that, I created a daily planner and prioritized tasks based on urgency. Notice the natural break? That pause gives you space, and it helps the listener process what you're saying. Here's another trick. Record yourself. Use your phone. Answer a few sample interview questions. Then listen. Ask yourself, do I sound confident? Do I speak clearly? Do I pause enough? Does my voice sound friendly and interested? It might feel awkward at first, but this is one of the most powerful tools for self-improvement. You'll hear things you didn't notice before. You'll catch nervous habits like saying or too much. And over time, you'll learn to control your delivery. Let's not forget body language. Even in online interviews, it matters. Here's what to focus on. Sit up straight. Keep your hands visible if possible. Nod when the interviewer speaks. Make eye contact with the camera or the person. Avoid crossing your arms. It can seem closed off. And most importantly, smile. A smile is the simplest way to show confidence, friendliness, and positivity. Even a small smile makes a big difference. Now, here's a mindset tip. Before your interview, take a few minutes to breathe deeply. Remind yourself of your strengths. Say out loud, I'm prepared, I'm capable, I'm ready. That mindset will show in your tone, in your answers, and in your presence. Because the truth is, interviewers don't just remember your words. They remember how you made them feel. Make them feel confident about you. In our next segment, we'll dive into real-life interview listening examples with analysis and practical tips so you can train your ears and get used to hearing natural, fast-paced English, the kind you'll likely hear in a real interview. Now let's get into something practical. Real listening examples from job interviews and what you can learn from them, because listening well during an interview can make the difference between a good answer and a great one. Let's start with an example. Imagine this question. Tell me about a time when you had to deal with a difficult situation at work. Now pause. Did you hear all of that? Many people only catch the word difficult and start answering too quickly. But this question is actually asking for a real example, a situation at work, how you responded to it. So here's how you practice. Step 1. Listen carefully. Slow the question down in your mind. Tell me about a time when you had to deal with a difficult situation at work. Break it into parts. This helps you understand it clearly and answer accurately. Let's try another example. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? A classic question, but learners often misunderstand it. They hear, where do you see yourself? And think it's about location, like a place, a country, or a city. But it's really about your career goals. So when you hear this, think, what role do I want in the future? What kind of work do I want to be doing? How does this job help me get there? This is why active listening is so important. It's not just about hearing the words. It's about understanding the meaning behind them. Here's a quick technique. When preparing for interviews, record sample questions and play them back. You can say the questions yourself, or use an AI tool, a podcast, or an English learning app. As you listen, write down what you understand. Then check your notes with the actual meaning. This builds your ear. It trains you to catch the full sentence, not just a few words. And the more you practice this, the less nervous you'll feel when someone speaks quickly in an interview. Let's go one step further. What if the interviewer asks you something unexpected? Like this. What do you enjoy doing outside of work? It's not a technical question. It's not even about your job. But it's still important. Why? Because it helps the interviewer learn more about you. As a person, they want to see your personality, your interests, and how well you communicate when you're relaxed. So practice answering these light questions too. Talk about your hobbies, your passions, what excites you. Use simple, clear English. Don't overthink it. I enjoy reading about technology and walking in nature. It helps me relax and stay creative. That's enough. Short, personal, and authentic. Now, let's talk about listening during the conversation. Interviews are not just questions and answers. They're two-way conversations. That means, listen carefully to follow-up questions. Don't interrupt. Show interest, nod, smile, say yes, or I see. Ask your own questions when it's your turn. Listening shows respect. And people always remember how you made them feel. So, slow down, be present, and truly listen. Want a bonus exercise? Watch English interviews online. Search for Job Interview Roleplay, mock interviews in English, common interview questions. Listen carefully. Pause the video. Repeat the questions. Try answering them yourself out loud. Then compare your answers with the examples in the video. This is powerful practice because it feels real. You'll hear real speed, real accents, real vocabulary, and that helps you train your brain for the real thing. In our next segment, we'll focus on vocabulary and sentence structures you can use to give strong, natural answers in interviews, without sounding too formal or too simple. Now that we've explored how to understand interview questions, let's dive into the vocabulary and phrases you can use to give better, more confident answers. Because sometimes you know the answer in your head, but the words just don't come out right. That's where strong, flexible language comes in. Let's start with some power verbs. Instead of always saying did or worked on, try these. I managed a project. I collaborated with a team. I developed a solution. Improve customer service. These action words make your sentences more powerful and show confidence. You don't need to memorize hundreds of words, just a few great ones that work in many situations. Let's go through more examples. Talking about teamwork? Instead of, we worked together. Try, we coordinated closely to meet our deadline. I supported my colleagues by handling communication with the client. Talking about solving a problem? Instead of, I fixed the problem. Try, I identified the issue and proposed a new strategy. I analyzed the data and made a recommendation that improved results. Talking about learning something new? Instead of, I studied it. Try, I quickly adapted by learning the system on my own. I took initiative to improve my skills through an online course. Tip: practice building these kinds of phrases into your answers. You can even prepare a few stories from your past experience. Write them out. Use the power verbs. And then speak them out loud again and again. This way, they become natural. So when you're in a real interview, you don't have to translate or think too hard. The words just come out. But what if you're still not sure how to express yourself clearly? Let me show you a simple structure that always works. It's called STAR. S, situation. T equals task. A, action. R, result. Here's how it works in a real answer. Let's say they ask, "Tell me about a challenge you faced." You could say, "In my last job, our team was short-staffed during a big project." Situation: I was responsible for organizing the final presentation. Task: so I created a clear schedule, divided the work, and followed up every day. Action: as a result, we finished on time and the client was very happy with our work. Result: this is clear, it's organized, and it shows exactly what you did and what happened. Use STAR to structure your answers, especially for behavioral questions like, "Tell me about a time you solved a problem." Describe a situation where you worked under pressure. Have you ever disagreed with a teammate? With STAR, you stay focused and impress the interviewer with your clarity. Let's not forget, interviews are not only about what you say, but how you say it. Here are a few final speaking tips. Speak slowly and clearly. Pause between ideas. Use your hands and facial expressions. It shows confidence. Smile, even if you're nervous. And most importantly, breathe. Taking a deep breath before you answer can help you calm your nerves and think more clearly. One more thing, if you don't understand a question, that's okay. You can say, "I'm sorry, could you repeat that? Could you explain what you mean by, I just want to make sure I understand. Do you mean?" These are smart phrases. They show you're careful and thoughtful, not weak. In fact, most employers appreciate it when you ask for clarity. It means you care about doing things right. You're getting close. In the final part, we'll go over questions you can ask the interviewer, how to close the interview with confidence, and how to stay motivated after the interview no matter the result. You've made it. Now that you've practiced understanding questions, giving strong answers, and using powerful vocabulary, it's time to focus on what you say at the end of the interview. Because an interview is not just about answering questions, it's also about asking them. Yes, you should ask questions too. And doing so shows you are thoughtful, curious, and serious about the role. So, what kind of questions can you ask? Here are a few strong examples. What does a typical day look like in this position? What are the most important skills someone should have in this role? How would you describe the company culture? What do you enjoy most about working here? What are the next steps in the interview process? These are simple, clear, and show genuine interest. Don't be afraid to write them down ahead of time and bring them to your interview. And now, let's talk about how to close the interview. This is your chance to leave a positive final impression. Here are a few ways to do that. Thank you for your time today. It was great learning more about the company. I'm excited about the opportunity and feel I could really contribute. Please let me know if you need anything else from me. That's it. You don't need long speeches. Just a friendly, confident thank you with a smile. And after the interview, it's normal to feel a little nervous or wonder if you said the right things. That's completely okay. But here's the important part. Reflect, learn, and move forward. Ask yourself, what went well? What could I do better next time? Which questions were hard and how can I prepare for them better? Every interview is a practice opportunity, even if you don't get the job. You are growing. Every question you listen to, every answer you give, it's part of the journey. One more tip? Send a short thank you message after the interview. Just a few lines, for example. "Hi, name. Thank you for meeting with me today. I really enjoyed our conversation and learning more about the position. I look forward to hearing from you soon." This tiny gesture makes a big difference. It shows professionalism. It keeps you in their mind. And it shows gratitude. Now, before we wrap up, let's remember what we've covered in this entire series. How to stay calm during interviews. how to listen carefully to every question, how to give strong, clear, and confident answers, how to ask your own questions, how to end with confidence and follow up professionally. You now have the tools. But here's something even more important. You have the right mindset. You're not just memorizing answers. You're learning how to listen, how to connect, and how to express yourself clearly and powerfully in English. And that is a skill that will take you far, not just in interviews, but in life. So here's what I want you to remember. If you don't get the first job, don't give up. If you feel nervous, it's okay. If you make a mistake, learn from it. You are doing something amazing. Speaking a second language, sharing your story, and stepping forward toward your goals. That takes courage. That takes heart. And I'm proud of you. Keep practicing. Keep listening. Keep speaking. And most importantly, keep believing in yourself. Your dream job is out there, and your English is getting stronger every day. Thank you for joining me today. If you found this helpful, please hit that like button, subscribe for more real-world English lessons, and share this video with someone who's preparing for their next interview. You're not alone on this journey, and I'll be here with you every step of the way. See you in the next lesson.